God puts us in nations, in places, not by mistake, but to do a job. What if we opened our eyes to the needs of our colleagues, of our leaders, of our subordinates, and we were a priest on their behalf? Welcome to the Repurposing Business Podcast. My name is Brett Johnson.
And I'm Len Johnson.
And we're going to be talking about how to get our business into God's business. So thank you for joining us this week and every week on the Repurposing Business Podcast. Well, welcome to the Repurposing Business Podcast. I'm here with Philip John and Thomas Stevenson, and they are from Chennai, India. Well, they're in Chennai, India. I'm not sure where exactly you guys began your journey, and maybe that's a good place to start. Before I do that, Philip John is the founder with his wife of a wonderful business that's been going for 25 years now, Philip John. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank God. Thank you, Brett. Thank you for speaking to me and hearing from us.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us. And Thomas Stevenson is part of our REAP community, our Repurposing Business community, and led our team there for a number of years. And we'll get to you in a moment, Thomas, over here. But Philip John, tell us a little bit about your background. Where were you born and raised? Which part of India did you start out in? And then we'll get to your business in a second.
Yeah, Brett, I'm Philip John, and I'm born a Keralite.
Okay.
Not from Tamil Nadu. I'm from Kerala.
Yeah.
But at the age of 17, I happened to migrate to Chennai.
Okay.
In the year 1981, I came to Chennai for my basic studies.
Fantastic.
Then I happened to continue in Chennai.
Yeah.
But my journey started from Chennai in the year of 81. But my real journey started in the year of 1983 after my Christian experience.
Okay. So you didn't grow up in a Christian home in Kerala then?
Yes, I born a Syrian Christian background of Kerala.
Okay.
But however, I chosen to be not to be with a practicing Christian, but I happened to start my Christian faith after my conversion in the year of 1983.
Fantastic. That's wonderful.
So again, by God's grace, I had to restart my Christian faith.
Yeah.
Then with the biblical principles, I started building my life.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So for those who don't know Kerala, it's a great place to visit, right? In fact,
yes.
I mean, if Moses hadn't been in Egypt, he would have been born in Kerala, back on one of those canals, and one of those. I mean, they have those wonderful boats on the canals, right?
Yeah.
You are right, Brett. Exactly. Moses could have born in Kerala's backwaters. You are right.
Kerala's backwaters. Yeah.
So that's the same place where I also born with. The same backwaters place of Alapi.
Okay.
And Alapi sides only I born.
Yeah.
But by God's plan, God is brought me back to Chennai, and I started my career in Chennai.
Fantastic. Great. And so when you began your career, you began to work in food services in bigger companies, right?
Yeah, see, I started my professional career in the year of 1986. 86 from Chennai. I started working for a catering company. It's called Industrial Catering Services.
Yeah.
So by starting, I started as a trainee supervisor.
Right.
Over 8+ years of my experience, I became the deputy general manager of that company.
Right. Fantastic. Great. And so Chennai has a lot of, for those who don't know, they have a fair number of industrial companies that are producing motor vehicles and other things over there. So the need to cater for the employees of those big companies is quite significant, right?
You're right. So this automobile industrial movement really happened in the after 99. Let me say after 2000.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but my professional career started in the year 1986, and I happened to work for various industrial catering units.
Yeah.
In and around Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and different parts of India. I worked for during my industrial catering private entrepreneurs company's professional career.
Fantastic.
With that, with my experience, Ashok Leyland, another automobile big player in the market, offered me a job as a welfare officer in the year of in the year of 1993. Ashok Leyland offered me the job.
So what
From
did that how was that different, Philip John, being a welfare officer from doing the catering? What did that sort of bring to your skill set?
Yeah, that's a good question. See, working for a private entrepreneur or a private service provider as migrating to another industrial player, like an automobile player, it was a very good opportunity which I could ever experience in my life. See, I had my experience, I mean, professional experience as an industrial caterer from a catering company.
Yeah.
With that experience, they put me as a welfare officer of an Ashok Leyland. Ashok Leyland, we call it as a backbone of any industry, automobile industry in India.
Right.
With the vast experience of, their employee could have about 8,000 employee, about 800 officers, and about 4,000 contract work, and about 12,000, 13,000 people were catered with that particular company's catering facility.
Fantastic.
That used to be another 24/7 work. For a welfare officer, he had to run around to operate. He had to take care about a lot of responsibilities, and especially in Indian culture, a lot of union activities are there where employees are bosses with the officers, on the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had to go all the way down to make our industrial standards or expected standards at par. So that was a responsibility of an officer, which lay down in our profession.
Yeah. So, Philip John, how did God lead you to start your own business? And was that a risky step? And how did God lead you to do that?
Yeah, my Ashok Leyland job was a godly given offer. And I was waiting for the opportunity for God to allow me to have a break from that particular job which God has offered me.
Yeah.
So by God's plan, I joined and spent about 3.5 years with the Ashok Leyland company. Then at one particular day, God was just allowing me to exit that particular job overnight. One fine day evening, I put my papers. On the very next day, I told my boss not been attending for my job. So that's such a bold step I had to take, and God allowed me to do that.
Yeah. And is that when you started Grace Valley?
Yes, that was the vision which God kept in my heart.
Okay. Start your own catering business.
Yeah. Before starting my business, God had given me this gracious name, Grace Valley Industrial Caterers.
Okay, Grace Valley Industrial Caterers. And by this stage, I assume that you were married to Blessy, right?
Yes, you are right. Yeah.
Yeah. So behind every man is a good wife who's willing to take a risk, right? So she was on board with this?
Yeah, she was so happy. She was so comfortable with my resignation because of my decisions. Though it was a tough decision, she supported me at that particular point of time about my exit from the company. So she was my backbone of the success, I could say.
Fantastic. So you and Blessy, you're following God, you love God, you've started a business. Now, how did you meet with Thomas? What was the connection over there? Because at some point, the two of you met and you came and you went through the Repurposing Business Program. Well, let me ask Thomas. Thomas has a background. He'd worked in HR in quite a number of the big multinationals in Chennai and ended up going through the Repurposing Business Training. Thomas, when did you go through the Repurposing Business Training?
In 2009, Brett. I think I was going through a situation in my life, and it was so amazing that God brought training into my life, and I had a lot of big questions at that time. Just about turning 40, and really the age. It's all magical to look back and see, and strange that we met at an airport near Chennai. You came out of the airport, and we met up for a consulting assignment that I was looking for an expert consultant to help me with my, leadership intervention. And I think that's when I met you. And after that, immediately after that, I had a situation, and and then I think God
For
brought
the
this
record,
training.
for the record, Thomas never hired me for his.
It always happens for you, I think, Brett, that it's difficult to hire you. I know that. We ended up having another person, and then that really went through. And after that, this was the biggest thing that can happen that happened in my life. And I really thank God, and that was a big turning point in my life. So this training really impacted me. I had a lot of big questions, and I felt God at that time. I really had that encounter with the Lord, and it just changed my life. And I felt, that was the closest I had been with the Lord, and thereafter, yes.
Great, fantastic. So that was 2009, and then part of our normal cycle is that we're looking for clients who will go through the Repurposing Business Consultation, the 10-day venture. And it must have been a tough job to sell Philip John on coming on a venture, because there you are, Philip John, you love God, you've got a good business. By that stage, you probably employed a couple of hundred people and so on. Were you wondering, what else do I have to learn about kingdom business from this Thomas guy and his people? Is that what you were thinking?
So good, Brett. See, it's like this. See, my story again. I was in a very particular tough situation or a junction where how to continue my business and as an entrepreneur, especially serving the Lord. As a stewardship, I had a lot of questions in my life. And God also was molding me as an entrepreneur according to his wishes and plan. So that really supported me, helped me to understand the value being in a Christian business person. So with my Christian perspective, I had a lot of questions. At that particular point of time, God was just led me to Repurpose program, which happened in Chennai. So I dedicatedly, by God's grace, I took that as a challenge and spent over about 10 days program in Chennai, which really Thomas also was the person who was just trying to mentor me under your leadership. Mr. Brett's leadership was so good there, and I could feel, everybody, all the team members from US, from up the other countries, they were doing an excellent job there, where I realized the value of making my life or my business times into a marketplace ministry. The real marketplace ministry's value with the principles, with the Christian principles, again with your written books, your principles was really attracted me, which made me as a very free man to work as a under God's stewardship program. And mentoring session was so good, and God given me very good visions, plans about my business. So that made me a real freedom in my business, which I could carry my which really helped me to understand the values.
Fantastic, great. Now the two of you began a journey then, because it's one thing to sit in a 10-day consultation, and then to actually implement it. What did that look like? And how long did it take you to take the principles that you'd been exposed to in the repurposing business venture and actually put them into practice in the business? How did you guys approach that?
So the 10 days in-house program was really fantastic, which I could understand the real value of it. I carried it. But when I tried to implement it, I had a few hitch-ups or certain areas which was, I found that it is little tougher. So immediately I took Mr. Thomas's help. He with his assistant, one more brother, came here. He spent a few days, few hours here on every weekly. One day he was spending here, allowing myself. I mean, further mentoring program. Me and my wife, and of course my team members. All of us were here, so we really made this repurposes. Depth program into a practical application.
Right.
So I could say that over a period of 6 months' time, I become more freedom I got a lot of freedom in my business and with my finance, with my business plans, with my any businessman could have a tension every time with about apprehensions. So all these apprehensions and my wasting of my time with unwanted worries, everything God is allowing me to just chase away from my life. That was that was a freedom which I really enjoyed with the reprogram which happened in Chennai and with my brother Thomas's support.
Fantastic, Philip John. Yeah. Thomas, from
Yeah.
your perspective, so you went once a week for a couple of hours a week, and what was the approach there?
So a few things I need to share, Brett, about Philip John. Before he came in, he did not know, like any client, when we go to explain, things to them about REAP and program, all these things are new, So, but then he was already a man of God, and he had a good, I would say, a good Christian life. And then he came in, and then after he came in, we had he requested for this mentorship program. So before that, I visited his place, right? Before, in fact, recruiting him as a client, and I saw his whole kitchen. It's called Central Kitchen. It's a big, huge one, and it was almost like a church. In terms of when you enter a particular church, you see verses, fully painted and everywhere. It's almost the Pentecostal churches in Chennai and India, they are like that. He almost made a church out of a kitchen. Inside the church, he built a kitchen. I was really amazed at it. And I was because people are really subtle. They don't want to express their faith. But here is a man in a business place. He just had everything around, and there he was working amidst the church. So I felt that's something special about this gentleman. So I was really happy to have him there. And then all he needed was some tweaks. He was at point A, and I had to show him, yeah, let's walk to point B together. So those are the things. He was already doing excellent work, but he needed to put that, a refinement, some kind of, shaping up his policies, processes, all those things. And really, I just brought what was already there, using our principles, REAP principles, and then exposed it to him, and from there we built on it.
Fantastic.
So be it people, products, presence. So each one we went about, and really, so quantum leap, I would say, in terms of his business.
Yeah. Philip John, you're reminding me of a client that we worked with in South Africa, and I asked him, what was the benefit of the repurposing business program to you? And this was a few years later, and he thought for a moment and he said, I can sleep at night, he said, because I know with the 10 Ps that I've covered everything. Before, I was wondering, did I leave something out? Was there something missing? Was there an aspect of business I hadn't thought about? So he felt that with the 10P model, it was a fairly complete model, and he had the freedom, as you talked about, to relax, knowing that he'd looked at every aspect of his business from God's perspective. Sounds like you had a similar experience.
See, any businessman need to undergo certain pressures. Any professional has got the professional pressures, But as a businessman, has got professional and business pressures which could happen to anybody. So as a young man or as a man from my kind of background, need to or had such similar experiences in my life. But REAP helped me to come out from all these clutches. That's why I use that word clutches. So certain time we need to undergo that pressures, which I know. But here what happened is repurpose made me a real man. After the mentorship, really it helped me to understand the values. See, the P principle was so good. And then again, I had to keep my people in track. Even now, even till today evening, this is Indian time, evening time. And at this time, up to this time, my people are working with their own plans. See, we put all our people in their discipline. So that discipline is working. And my work is become so easy as a leader of this organization. I'm just leading them. My people are working, and I'm a leader. Even I'm a leader of overall working as a leader to my people. Like for example, see, I have about 100 families here. So I'm just working for 100 families. I'm not working for my business, because my people knows how to handle business. Business in the sense, up to certain level, they are professionally fit enough to do it. And my responsibility is just upgraded as a man with the prayer supporting them. My duty is to pray for them. So I migrated to my level, exposing as a servant of God, as a responsible servant of God. I just pray for them, and I'm making my life better, and or how simple or how cool I'm just trying to make it, and I'm making my pupils' life also very cool and simple. That's how I'm just doing it now.
So I know, Philip, John, if I recall, one of the things that really struck you as we went through the consultation was the concept of household, right? The size of your household, and you being the spiritual leader of that household. Thomas referred to the verses up on the walls and so on, but you being a church, if you like, goes way beyond that, because these people have become your family, right? Do you want to unpack what it looks like when you say 100 families? Talk to me a bit about the size of your household and the influence that you have through your business, and what it looks like to care for them as your household.
See, as a head of a family has got too many responsibilities. I am also into too many responsibilities, or I'm like a caring father or caring leader. I'm being with them. Like for example, any family has got any needs, they come to me at my office, or they reach me over phone and ask me for a prayer support immediately. This is the kind of support which I give them immediately. And upon their any special financial aid, as a special cases, very rare cases, only people come forward for me money. There are finance supports, which I could do it in a very little way, and I encourage them to make their finances better, their life plans better, their everything. I give them certain ideas or plans, better plans for them. I share them, so they carry it. And now I realize that most of the boys who are working with me, maybe about 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year boys, most of all of them are get settled in their life. Settled in the sense their children are getting educated, their children, elder kids are getting married, and so on. Even any single money which they spend, they come to me and ask for certain good ideas, which I could share my experience and pray them, bless them, to make their life so simpler. This is how I just carry my team members for their betterments.
Fantastic.
So this is one experience as a leader. As you asked me about a family and how do you carry it, this is the way which I carry my people for to the next level.
Fantastic. And Thomas, your observations of the Grace Valley family, unpack that a little bit.
I think I was able to see firsthand how he was approaching people. I think post venture and the mentorship program that gained momentum. In terms of people, right? The focus on people got more structured and gained a lot of momentum. Right? So to really explain a little more, we can say that lot of people, at least 10 to 15 people I met had really straight away benefited from Philip John's counsel, right? Their prayer. So if you look at his office, there will be a prayer room and / training room. So where you will see the pictures of his entire organization, right? The families, not just the picture of the employee, their entire family picture will be posted, on the notice board kind of. He made a separate enclosure for that, and everybody is there. So when they come together for prayer, they look at their the family pictures. If there is anything that they want to pray for, they will pray there. So those things really touch them, each person. And as I mentioned, those 10 to 15 people, you can. I mean, if you had watched the video that we had recently released, so everybody has had clear impact in their life. So be it spiritual, uh, be it in their own lives, in terms of their family growth, in terms of the children's education, building of their own houses, and education does not mean an ordinary education. They have got decent, good education. People who come from nearby villages, they've had very good education. You can see a couple of them, testifying about it. So they have had very good education with a strong, foundation. Their parents have been mentored by Philip John in spiritual discipline. So every day, uh, whether they're believer or not, they will know all the songs. They will read the Bible. So it's almost ingrained in their mind, and therefore that created huge difference. For what they have been and what they have become. There's a huge difference in their lives. So it's a big blessing. I could see the concept of household in real picture, happening at Grace Valley Industrial Theaters. So it's
That's
continuing.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, because the household is a great concept in theory. Putting it into practice, if you've got 100, 200 employees, they've got husbands, wives, each of them has a couple of kids. All of a sudden, in reality, you have a spiritual community of hundreds of people, and they're coming to you for prayer. But it's almost tougher than being a pastor in some ways, because you're also paying their salaries, you're dealing with medical, you're dealing with education, you're dealing with things. But it's a great opportunity to make disciples, right? To build that into how you do things. Now, Philip John, I'm reminded a little bit about a story of where God gave you a practical innovation to solve a problem for your people. So let me explain in my terms, and then you can correct my explanation. When you're cooking hundreds of meals. So it's a lot of stuff. It's not just you making bacon and eggs for one person. I mean, you're cooking big things. And so we're talking big pots, lots of ingredients. And as I recall, there was some people working in your kitchen who were peeling onions and chopping onions, as I recall. And so I know when I cut one onion, I end up crying, right? Because of all of the stuff over here. I'm sure they're better than me, but if you're dealing with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of onions every day for hours, it must be a big problem. I believe you saw that problem, and then what happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. Peeling of onion in an industry is very tougher job. See, that when I recall my Ashok Leyland experience, in a day we used to handle about 500 to 800 kilos of onion.
Kilos, 500 to 800
kilograms of onion in down to my earlier experience. So with that, and I had a lot of knowledge about industrial relations issues which could happen in any kitchen where they peel about 800 or 1000 or thousands of kilos of onion a day.
Yeah.
There's an industrial, maybe Mr. Thomas can understand what is industrial relation issues which happened in an industrial catering situation. So this really forced me to think of coming out with a better solution for onion peeling. Peeling of onion is a big issue. See, slicing of onion, you have machines available in the market. But by God's grace, God directed me to one, or somebody approached me, one manufacturer from Madurai, about down southern Tamil Nadu. And a layman called me. He used to be a technical person. So we both discussed about my requirement of peeling about 500 to 600 kilos of onion for my kitchen. It was a bit expensive at that point of time. But over our discussions, we brought in a machine, a mechanical system, with the help of a compressor, special compressor, and a peeling machine. I could bring in a good machine. By God's grace, this is the 14th year continuously I'm using that machine. So weeping or that system is no more in my kitchen. Yeah. So my people are really happy about that particular machine. It is a non-stop machine. I mean, it's a service-free machine, and it's working for almost 13 years. Since till that day, these issues are not in my kitchen. So people are happy about the peeling of onion.
A mechanical onion peeler. Yeah, fantastic. I love how a concern for your people can lead to an innovative solution, right? And have you had other examples of similar things where your concern for your people has led you to come up with, I mean, it doesn't have to be a mechanical thing, but something that's been an interesting solution for you?
Yeah, we had Indian breads. We make Indian bread chapatis, say about 5,000 or 8,000 chapatis a day. Normally, with any industry, people uses manual making. But this is I have a fully automatic machine as well semi-automatic machines also we have. So that area, Indian bread chapati making has become somewhat very easy for my team members. And vegetable vegetable slicer, cutters, all systems we have. So it's and the steam boilers we have, and the steam with the steam facility, our cooking is very faster, and any number of any volume we can accept overnight orders. So of course we have regular orders. So my kitchen is equipped with my team. They also feel that they realize their freedom in working. They are very comfortable. So they are equipped for any job with my automation.
Fantastic. I love your emphasis, Philip John, on creating freedom for your people and making the life of your people easier. Whereas often in business, people make the life of their people harder and then get rid of their people. But you've kept your people for a long time by making their life easier and getting the job done. Thomas, you were going to add something there.
Yeah. So I think the latest which happened in this line of thinking is he is now sourcing directly from the farmers and creating his own masalas. Meaning the masala. I don't know what all he's making, but everything, the ingredients, right? Homemade. It's all made by him. Instead of purchasing from the market, which is like it's not pure. It's all mixed up. But he now acquired a place and machinery. Now he's making his own masalas, which go into the food that he makes. And I think this is well received by all the clients, large multinational clients. They're very happy because this gives him an edge as well. But this comes out of, again, wanting to give the best to the client. So when it comes to the plate, the food, they can be very confident that they're having a very good meal. It's just not adulterated. With the masalas are not adulterated. They're not cheap. It's real, authentic, right? So he ventured into that, and I think almost that masalas he's going to create his own brand. I think. So that's what he's thinking about. Maybe that's the next step.
Fantastic.
So all these things are happening there. Yeah.
Yeah, just so for our international listeners, supply chain issues are real issues in a place like India. It's a hot climate. And so if you're doing dairy, for example, or you're doing something else, you have to find ways. And this is not only true in India, other countries as well. How do you preserve fish, or how do you preserve milk products or other things? And so people start adding chemicals and other odds and ends, or to bulk up something, they'll add other substances into the supplies of things. So what you're doing is you're going directly to the source and modifying your supply chain, it sounds like, Philip John.
Yep. Brett, see, here in my place, this is about 45 kilometers from Chennai. However, it is 1.5 hours maximum drive with the traffic time. So, and availability of raw material or perishables are very handy here. My kitchen place is on by the side of a highway, Chennai to Bangalore highway. So anything within 1 hour, I'm able to reach it. So vegetable item, we get it every day. And I have a purchase man, he's working for 24 hours. And so at any point of time, my raw materials are available with perishables. Perishable, we have regular suppliers like milk or anything. And we don't use much meat items other than fresh chicken. Chicken, we don't stock anything. We get it within 3-4 hours time and cook it and serve. That's all. We don't stock any non-veg items because it is very much handy and nearby markets. And we have registered and full-time suppliers for that, registered suppliers. So I have no issue with any of my suppliers or products.
Fantastic. Good.
Yeah.
So in terms of what God's done in your business, Philip John, what year did you go through the repurposing business venture? Do you remember which year it was?
Year 2000, I think 2016.
Okay.
15.
I mean,
15.
Yeah. So it's been
15.
So it's been
15.
Yeah, 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, 15 group. Yeah.
Right. So it's been 6 or 7 years. And what's God done in your business? What's happened in your business since then in the big picture?
Yeah, after within the span of this 7-8 years of my experience after repurpose, so I became very simple or very light in my heart or my situations. Earlier, I used to carry all my burden with me. Now that I'm become very soft in my nature, soft in my heart, soft in my plans. So according to God's plans or wishes, I'm just committed my life and my time, my business into God's hands. So since I become very light, things are happening around. I'm not running around for anything. So God is just using my resource or my knowledge or my team into active situations. I used to see a lot of ups and downs in the market. So that has never affected me. Of course, COVID was one particular situation where we had a lot of learning time. But I never had so much pressures with me, even the past 2.5 years. Everyone in the world is struggling or pained with COVID situations. But that never touched me. And my plans, God is just allowing me to face any challenges. And by God's grace, we are feeding according to God's plan, we are supplying or we are just feeding about 200 to 250 orphans nearby, as we are supporting an orphanage. So even during COVID time, we could supply them by God's plan. It's not that me or we, it is purely God's plan. According to God's plan, we were feeding them. We never stopped. The entire industry was blocked. My kitchen was blocked. Highways were blocked, but we could serve them with our simple food. No, it was a real blessing for them to having their basic food requirements. So I became very normal or very light in my life.
Very light in your life.
That really helped me, helped me to do that also. I could say that that was a one strength which I collected from Reap.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Well, that's wonderful. It reminds me of the scripture when Jesus says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light, you know. And
Amen.
I think there are some people who worry about letting Jesus into their business because they think he's going to mess things up, but he actually, and put a fresh burden on them, but he actually comes to relieve our burden and have him carry the worry. I think, I remember once when I had a particular situation and it was a financial situation, and I said, I was driving somewhere and I said to God, well, I guess I should start worrying about this now. And he said, you don't have a right to worry. And actually, worry is a key performance indicator of the kingdom of darkness. And and a key performance indicator for the kingdom of God is to not worry. So it's wonderful to hear that. Yeah. Thomas, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely, Brett. And I think, I remember we visiting, bringing along with me about 6 or 7 entrepreneurs from here who underwent venture to the US for the big weekend. I think all of them really are testament to the fact that, they're able to rest their worries, in the hands of God, and most of them are doing really well. I think, so their mind also opened, and they could meet so many people who are in the same path and get inspired, learn, and when they came back, many of them really applied those principles. And I can see, so many people like Philip John is a totally different person. And he is one of those people that was earnestly following the principles. No, he wants to do it. He wants to apply these principles in his life and business.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, I like I think sometimes we can almost have a Christian subculture that says the responsible Christian stewardship means you worry about things. You look very serious about things. You carry the burdens of the world. But in reality, it reminds me of when the disciples were rowing across the boat and they'd been rowing for many hours and they didn't make much progress. And Jesus got in the boat, which was their business, and immediately they were at the other side. And it's not that Jesus takes away all of your problems. I like your point, Philip John. You said you are going to have pressures, you are going to have difficulties, but you have a different person in the boat with you. You have, and so that's wonderful. Yeah, I remember when Jesus first got into Peter's boat, before Peter was following Jesus, then Peter said, get out of my boat. And I think that's often the reaction from Christian business owners is they don't want Jesus in the boat because he thinks he's going to mess up their business, but he actually helps them get to the other side. So I love that's a good indicator to decrease the worry. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Well, Philip John, it's amazing. So just to wrap up today, how many employees do you have today?
Yeah, now it's reduced after my COVID situations. Today it's about 80 to 80 plus. It's 80 about 20 people are reduced, 20-25 people are less.
Okay, so about 80 people.
And they 80 families.
Yeah, and they have their families. So 80 families. That's
80 families.
Yeah. And you're serving how many meals a day now?
See, now it's reduced to 2,000 plus. Earlier it used to be 4,000 to 4,500. We talk always about lunch packs.
Okay.
Yeah, because breakfast may be lesser, dinner may be lesser, supper lesser. So we consider as the top number is 2,000, 2,500 or something. That between 2,000, 2,500
lunch packs.
Earlier it used to be about 4,500 to 5,000 we were handling.
Yeah.
Now it's reduced to.
Yeah.
There's a reason for COVID impact and market recession also.
Okay, right. And now you're looking at some secondary products, it sounds like, with your masalas and other things.
Yeah, that's also on the cards. I'm just waiting for the market I'm just reading the market.
Yeah, good
It's not,
idea.
that is another venue or venture.
Yeah.
So where I need to have. So I'm just
Yeah.
waiting for the time to really plan it.
Yeah.
That's another big market, which is big players are playing. So
Yeah.
I'm just keeping that in my prayers.
Fantastic. Good. Excellent. Great.
Yep.
Well, Philip, John, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thomas, thanks for being
Welcome.
on. And
Thank you, Bert.
you guys have walked a
Welcome,
long
Brett.
journey together. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. And I love to
Yeah.
see I love to see people being in a situation where we can discuss the truth of God. I love it even more when it's applied in practice, you know, and
Well,
and it's being a blessing to the people who are part of your
Yeah.
household. Yeah.
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
just want
Thank
to.
you, Brett, for the interview. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Please, Thomas.
Yeah. I just want to acknowledge efforts of Linda. Linda would be happy to
Sharing
listen to
this
this
story.
podcast because
Yeah.
she was consulting with Philip John during the venture,
Yeah.
and she had put in a lot of effort, and I would like to acknowledge
Yeah.
her honest efforts into his business.
Yeah. So Linda Wijaya, for those listening, was studied in the US for many years. She got a PhD, and then she got an MBA. Then she went through the repurposing business training, and then went on a trip with us to Bali. And on the trip in Bali, she sat down next to me on a bus one day, Philip John, and she said to me, "Oh, I told Lynn I'm going to come and live with you." I said, "Oh, what did Lynn say?" So Linda came and lived with us for about 5 years or so. She was our training coordinator. And eventually she married our IT coordinator, Gareth. And so now they're living in Australia with their 2 kids and living out the gospel. So she did a great job as a training coordinator, went on many trips around the world, worked with many clients. So thank you, Thomas, for reminding us about Linda and her great contribution. And that's our normal model for those who haven't listened before, is that every client who goes through the repurposing business venture will have both an Indian or a local and a visiting consultant. They could be from anywhere in the world. We've had people from India who've been the visiting consultant in Indonesia and in South Africa and other parts. And that's part of the kingdom, that we go multinationally, and we carry a kingdom passport that's bigger than our home passport. And and that's part of the dynamic of the kingdom of God. And this is one of the reasons, it's very easy for Indian business people to say, "Oh, well, there's lots of problems in India. I just have to stay in Chennai or Kerala or Delhi or whatever." But in reality, when we get mobile as kingdom business people, when we get a kingdom passport, we carry the kingdom culture. There's a dynamic that happens because you've got people from many nations. Yeah, the glory that goes to God is increased when you've got multiple nations. That's why in God's business, it's people from every tongue, tribe, and nation. And as we get our business into God's business, it's a multinational business. Even our notion of Jesus, we think, "Oh, Jesus came to the Jews, that was it." But from the beginning, he was the kid with the Egyptian accent, because that's where he grew up. And when he started his ministry, the people were from across the Jordan, which we call Jordanians today, from Syria, from Rome, from the Roman Empire, and from Israel. He had a multinational following from the outset. And so it's good to have a reminder of that multinational dynamic. Thomas, thank you so much. Well, bless you both. Thank you so much for sharing.
Praise God. Thank you so much, Brett. God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless you too. Thank you so much.